Welcome back to Breck to the Future, where we are tackling the world's problems. We are going to dive into housing, robotics, energy, other industries, you name it. I am your host, Travis, and this is episode 7. Today, we are having a builder spotlight on Boxabl. Boxabl is a startup folding homes like origami to fight the housing crisis. With almost 4 million homes missing in the United States alone, we're going to find out if Boxabl's Casita can be the Lego brick that we need to fix this issue. Or is it just a shiny prefab pipe dream? We're going to unpack this with some curiosity, a dash of cautious optimism, but a whole lot of hope that this is something that we can utilize. So we are back after a bit, and I am stoked to dive in. If you're new, Breck to the Future is all about builders that are swinging big to tackle civilization level problems. Follow us on X at Breck to the Future for daily riffs and other posting, or to catch previous episodes that you may have missed. Now let's dive in and see if Boxable has the goods. So let's talk about their story and why Boxable exists. It's 2017 Las Vegas. The United States is short about a million plus of homes. Rent is going crazy, and building a house, it really feels like herding cats. Anyone will tell you that does it. Here we're going to enter Paolo and Galliano Tiramani. They are a father-son duo with this wild idea. Why can't we build homes like we build cars? Paolo, an engineer, he was fed up with modular homes needing, a special escort to ship. Think of those wide load signs that clog highways. We've all seen them, right? You got a car in front with the blinkers and the big antenna, then you got quite literally the wide load that is being transported down the road, and then a trailing car just to make sure everything's okay. It's almost as bad as going behind an Indian file mile of semis down a highway. Just annoying. So, his fix, he wanted a house that folds to be about 8.5 feet wide and it can ship like a regular truck and then it pops open within hours. So Galliano, the entrepreneur's son, he brought the hustle while engineer Kyle Denman rounded out the trio. They dumped $2 million of their own cash into research and development, and then they started scouring the globe for tough enough materials. Their mission was affordable, actionable, and scalable housing to close that gap. Their real estate experience, they didn't have any, but that's no problem. They're outsiders and they're betting on disruption. It's a bold move, but is it genius or is it nuts? I mean, folding houses, like, yeah, maybe that's something you pitch over a few too many coffees or a few too many bourbons, but here we are and they are making traction. So, what is a boxable casita? Well, picture a 375 square foot studio apartment. It's got a kitchen, a bathroom, a living area, and a bedroom. And this all unfolds like a transformer, quite literally. Check out YouTube clips and other social media that they've posted. It's pretty incredible. Uh, the end state is it has a fridge, a washer and dryer, HVAC unit, plumbing, electrical, all of the standards that you would expect in a modern day home that we see here in the United States. And this was all built and to be able sold for between 50 and $60,000. Now, we do want to note that that does not include shipping, which can be anywhere from $2 to $10 a mile, the permits that are required, or any of the land needed to set this home up. But it ships folded, it will unfold between 1 and 2 hours, and there's no real fancy foundation that's needed for this RV coded model. So why is it cool? Well, I mean, first off, it's foldable magic. I mean, it's going from shrinking to 8.5 feet wide, and there's no wide load drama, right? The ability to transport these quite literally anywhere is incredible. It's cool because it's comprised of so much tough stuff. I mean, steel, concrete, the EPS foam walls that turn away fire, flooding, bugs. I mean, it's way sturdier than my first apartment in Chicago's drywall. I mean, that was a landlord special and a tenant's nightmare. It's also cool because of the green vibes that it has. I mean, everything we're looking for is a green project here and there, and it's LEED certified, it's hurricane rated, and it's energy efficient. And then, last but certainly not least, why it's cool, it's a factory dream. I mean, at this point, they're able to churn out one casita every 90 minutes. They have reported 3,600 in a year, which is pretty sensational. But unlike clunky modular homes, casitas dodge the shipping headaches, right? That being said, though, it's not all sunshine. There are regulations, the costs to ship can trip you up. But still, I mean, imagine ordering a home that's like an Amazon package, click and it's there. That is the pitch. And that's pretty incredible, we think. So we know a little bit about who Boxable is and what they do. Well, who's actually using this? So I think it's worth pointing out. I mean, Boxable does have some pretty big fans, right? Not sure how many of you know this, but Elon Musk actually lives in a casita. It's one of many homes that he has based on his many projects throughout the United States. But some more recent news, he actually sold a good majority of the homes that he had spread out, and he's gone back to old-time Elon, sleeping on couches and other spaces. Um, but he has purchased a casita that he does live in. He does own one at the SpaceX Boca Chica site. It is also a guest home. It was delivered in 2021. This was revealed as a top secret customer, but then Elon took over and he made it cool on X, and suddenly Boxable is going viral. It's not an investment. It's just he's giving it a stamp of approval based on him living in there, which is certainly incredible, right? But also, let's talk about what's another real flex, and that's the United States military. In 2021, they snagged 156 casitas rather, for one of their bases. This was almost a $10 million deal. Additionally, an Arizona mining company bought 176 for workers. D.R. Horton, which is one of America's top home builders, ordered 100 units and invested in Boxable. So clearly, there's some buzz and some hype and some excitement around all types of groups and people and investors that are looking at. California, they also love casitas as backyard ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units. And the wait list, I mean, we're hearing it's over 160,000 names. I mean, goodness, even Senator Elizabeth Warren gave a nod on X as recently as this month of this year. Boxable is turning heads, but the question that's on everybody's mind is, I mean, can they keep it up? So Boxable's casitas are popping up in wild places, right? You've got military bases, you have remote work camps in Arizona, backyards in California. They're also pitching for disaster relief. Think an instant shelter that's post wildfire or post hurricane. It feels like we've seen a good many more of those recently. So this could be a really good short and long-term solution to situations like that. Cities like LA, they're eyeing them up for homeless and veteran housing, which we think is an exceptional idea that more people should buy into. There's even talks and suggestions. Boxable has said, why don't you rebuild the California wildfire lots uh, on X in January of 2025 is when they posted this and said, why don't you use our product to help build this and provide temporary shelter? But we're seeing that the need is real, right? I mean, there's almost $4 million homes that are short. Casitas could be a Lego brick for that modular future. They're stackable, they're connectable, but they're also scalable. But currently, only 11 states approve of them as a modular home. Now, there are 44 states that have them as RV coded, which does help, But red tape's a beast, and we hate red tape here at the Breck to the Future podcast. So can they scale fast enough to dent the crisis? Well, that quite literally, pun intended, is the million-dollar question. So, we're hopeful, we're optimistic, but, we also want to call out, not harp on, but we do need to paint both sides of this picture, both sides of the coin. There are a couple of messy bits, and that's not necessarily what we want to highlight, but we do feel appropriate to at least share that. Like all startups, all companies, there are moments that they need to grow from, right? So Boxabl is not all shiny new casitas and Elon Musk tweets, right? They've got drama. So first, from an investment standpoint, from a startup standpoint, I mean, they're burning a considerable amount of cash. They're burning about $3.5 million a month, our reports. Quite a bit. Um, Also, the founders, it was reported, they were looking to cash out a considerable chunk of change in shares, which did tick off the investors, right? We're looking for them to build more homes, not mansions, is really what the investors were saying. And look, I can see both sides of that coin, right? You're an entrepreneur, you're building a business. Yes, you want to pour money into your business, but you also want to see the fruits of your labor at some point. Can't fault them, but maybe not the best time, but not what we want to focus on here. But let's talk about those 156 U.S. military units. Something went awry at some point. Was it the installer? Was it Boxable? But according to the New York Times, for those units from 2022 that were for the U.S. military, there were some leaky roofs. There was some mold that was noticed. Nobody is claiming responsibility for that, but it did hurt their rep a little bit. Um, let's also talk about that wait list. Again, 160,000 people on the wait list. That's a beast. But some folks are waiting for years, and the refund gripes are loud. On X and Reddit, users are screaming scam, but there's also no YouTube tours of the lived-in casitas, which is starting to raise some questions. The SEC has poked into their books, but they did close the case in July of last year with no action. Their auditor, Markham LLP, they were hired in 2024, uh, but they did not resign despite the rumors. So, are these just growing pains? Are they red flags? Really, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, look, no startup is really without controversy, right? Anytime somebody's in the arena building something, it's real cheap for people to, call something out. Are there issues with leaky roofs and mold? That's something that certainly needs to be addressed. That's something that can hurt your credibility. But this 160,000 person wait list, I mean, we should kind of be used to this for goodness sake. Tesla and the Roadster, that's how Tesla started was with their Roadster. And, I worked for Tesla almost 10 years ago, and there were still people that were wondering when the Roadster was going to come out. So, um, the point in that is simply this is a growing company. It's got a great product that we can see. There are going to be some growing pains, but these don't appear to be red flags. I hope that's the case. So let's talk about their funding and the growth of this company. So Boxable, as reported, has cash. They have about $168 million from over 30,000 crowdfunding investors, as well as $75 million on Start Engine. So they've got a considerable amount that they can work with. DR Horton also chipped in as well. They have three factories in Las Vegas. They were cranking out about 700 casitas in 2024. That is quite short of their 3,600 a year goal, but they are making improvements. Scaling's tough though. I mean, supply chains, regulations, the losses that they had from 2020 to 2022, those sting, right? We're currently in what we'll call a geopolitical realignment of tariffs and goods and services throughout the world. Um, that definitely has had an impact on their business. But they're betting on a partner factory model, which they're looking to license their tech globally. Uh, Eventually, they're dreaming of $1 billion factory that could produce 100,000 units a year. Is it bold? Sure is. But is it doable? I mean, the jury's out. We're going to need to see more confined and streamlined supply chains, really, in my opinion, regulations. I mean, as soon as you can remove all of the red tape, I mean, that's the starting gun, in my opinion, because there has to be demand. But if you have demand choked off from all these different areas, I mean, that earlier statistic that I provided, only 10 states deem them as an appropriate and recognized dwelling unit. Now, 44 do have it as an RV unit, but people don't want to go find RV home or RV lots to go park this. They want to be able to put it where they want their home to be. So yeah, I would say the red tape is definitely one of the bigger issues that needs to be addressed. And like with our previous episode with Icon, I am hopeful that that gets remedied here in the next couple of years. So to kind of wrap this up, and the vision that Boxable has. They do represent this bold attempt to solve one of our biggest civilizational challenges. The idea of a folding home built on an assembly line, it is compelling. And as we look into more robotics and automation on future episodes, I think this would be a fantastic, opportunity to leverage that. Additionally, with the housing crisis growing worse and worse each year, and there are a lot of different takes on why this is. Um, I'm more inclined to believe that the supply is being hindered by regulation and red tape. Much like this current administration, champions drill baby drill, we should be championing, cut every and any all red tape that makes sense. Take this from a first principles station. Because this crisis is not going anywhere, and it's probably getting worse, actually. So we do need moonshot solutions like Boxable. But bold visions also don't guarantee results, right? I mean, these financial losses are tough, the production delays, supply chain issues, structural issues, they are raising real concerns. But Boxable has captured the imagination of investors and government buyers and homeowners alike. And we truly wish them well, right? Again, we're here to highlight those that are swinging for the fences, bold opportunities. Boxable is definitely one that I can see as a fixture in American society. I think the other thing that I've not talked about that will help Boxable, and probably a theme for a lot of these episodes, is we need a societal reframing of what is actually realistic, right? A lot of people grow up and or they look at what life could be in the future, and everybody want a lot of people talk about that, that home with the white picket fence and property and all that good stuff. Well, that's something that has to be worked towards as we get older, and I'm certainly learning that myself, right? What I would say is I think these homes are certainly going to be good for anyone and everyone that is looking for home ownership. But, as we said earlier, it's starting out as less than 400 square feet. So, you know, we need a reframing of, your home is not going to be this massive undertaking, this massive structure and piece of property. Like it's almost like, leveling up in a video game. You are leveling up as you go along in life. And yeah, you don't start out with the best stuff. And that's not to say Boxable isn't some of the best stuff, but there's a perception that a smaller home somehow signifies something. I disagree with that. I think being able to own a home, it's your castle, it's, yours. This is a great opportunity for everyone and anyone to have that, and throw on that this could be something for the homeless. This could help, veterans that are down on their luck. I mean, I think this is an incredible opportunity here. So, want to wrap it up. What do you think? Is Boxable a gimmick, or is this a glimpse into the future? Personally, I think this is a glimpse into the future. I'm very excited to see where this company goes. We'll be watching them closely. I want to thank you for listening to Breck to the Future. Please subscribe on YouTube. Share this if, it made you think about anything, and follow us on X to Breck to the Future. Let's keep building a better world. No excuses. Thank you.